Alright, in this video we're checking out the Hobbyporter WT8 RC transmitter. This here is only available in mode 2 here with throttle on the left. It's not available in mode 1 as far as I know. Comes in this color here, which is, I don't know, like a cartoon water transfer print. And another one I think is like a red sort of fire print. Those are the two available models. Now this is supposedly, well, it's actually a FrSky D8 compatible transmitter, and it comes with this receiver that you can bind to, and this is also FrSky D8 compatible. In the manual it says this is an FHSS, I think, transmitter here in the manual and also on the product page, but that's Futaba protocol. I'm assuming that the radio and the transmitter, or the receiver and the transmitter are probably switchable to Futaba protocol, but right out of the box it's FrSky D8 protocol. The receiver comes like this. This is a diversity receiver. It's pretty tiny. It's a little bit smaller than an XM Plus receiver, and it claims to have a range of about 1 kilometer. I didn't test that, and I'll explain that here in a second as to why. It does come with the signal and power wires already pre-soldered. There's actually 2 other connectors here, which I don't know what those are for. Maybe telemetry, possibly. I don't know the answer to that. And then the other side is this connector here. You could, if your flight controller has the plugs in the same, or the connections on this plug in the same order, you could just plug it in and bind up the receiver, and it should be good to go. Otherwise, you probably will have to cut off this connector and do a direct solder to your flight controller. I actually didn't test this receiver at all, and the reason is this is, I think, going to be for pretty much entry-level purposes, for something like a tiny whoop or some sort of brushless power whoop, something like that. That's going to have, you're not going to try and fly too far away. Now, I did fly this on this guy here. This is my custom 65 millimeter power whoop, and with I think these are the 19,500 kV Beta FPV motors. Runs on 1S here. Has a built-in SPI FrSky receiver that I switched to D8 mode and bound up no problem to that receiver. But the reason I'm not really going to recommend this transmitter for anything bigger, you know, say 3-inch or 5-inch, is that basically there's a lot of dead zone in this stick. So this is typical of a, you know, your typical Game Boy, or I'm sorry, Xbox or PlayStation style game controller, where you have these gimbals here, and these are actually not real gimbals. They're just like joysticks, like on a game controller. So you have a lot of dead zone in the stick. So you can move it approximately about this much here. So you can see here, let me just show you about how much movement you have before it actually registers any movement in the flight controller. So here it's centered, and you could move it a good 25, maybe as much as 30 degrees before you start seeing any movement in the receiver on Beautiful. I'll show you that here in a second. I connect this to my phone, I'll show you that. So you move it over about this much, and then about some point after that you'll see some movement, and then this is the end of the stick right here. And so this whole area between right here and about here doesn't do a whole lot, and also obviously basically on the other direction as well. So this is what I'm calling about the dead zone of the transmitter, or the stick here, where you could be moving it around, and you're going to need to be moving it quite a bit to each side to actually fly things. So yeah, you'll see what I'm talking about here in the flight footage. You're basically doing a lot of overcorrecting. So you're correcting and then overcorrecting and then correcting again. It is difficult to get smooth flight because of the very large dead zone, and this is with a lot of tweaking in a beta flight with the rates. So I've reduced the rates quite a bit and also added a lot of expo. Otherwise you get a lot of even more jerky movement. So you could possibly fiddle with it some more, even reduce the rates some more, try and get a little bit smoother footage. But the stick feel is, I mean, it's very mushy. This is not going to be for any type of precision flying whatsoever. This is basically for cruising around, and this is fine for a beginner type of application. Yeah, if you watching along this video, you're wondering, is this better than my $200 jumper or Tyrannus or X-Lite or whatever, or even like a $600 Futaba radio? The answer is no. This is not better. This is a $30 radio, including a diversity receiver. I don't think that trying to make that kind of comparison is even worth the time to even mention it, but I'm mentioning it anyway because someone's going to ask me if this is better than their $200 radio, and the answer is no. This is a $30 radio. This is going to be for specifically someone that doesn't have anything at all. Pretty much anything that you're going to have out there is going to be better, and if you're looking to get started and want something better, I would suggest something like the FrSky X-Lite radio or the Jumper T12. Something like that is going to be much better as an entry-level radio. Of course, it's going to cost quite a bit more, probably close to $100 versus $30, but you're going to get a much better gimbal and flight experience from that if you're starting out. Now, this is going to be fine for someone just starting out, and they can figure out a way to get this tuned with their particular whatever model they're trying to pair this up with. Now, that's the thing, like, it might be difficult for someone just starting out to understand that they need to be able to adjust the rates on the stick to get a better flight experience with whatever they're pairing it up with. Now, this radio will be coming with, I think, the new Ishi Novice models, the 1 and the 2. I think one is the Novice one's like a brushless whoop, and the Novice 2 is I think a 2.5 inch or 3 inch brushless micro. And depending on how that's tuned, I just don't have those yet. This might be okay, it might not be okay. I don't know yet. We'll have to find out. But let me just go over real quick the basic functions of the transmitter. Obviously, you got your 4 channels here on the sticks. You got throttle, yaw on the left, and you have your roll and pitch on the right. You have channels 5 and 6 here. They're just a single button here, and just 5 over here and 6 on the right. And this actually will trigger a 3-position switch, but it's via button click. So let me go ahead and turn this on. So this is the power button here, and this is this kind of, if this is in your bag and you kind of tap the button, it'll just turn it on and it'll drain your battery, which is actually 4 AAA batteries here in the back, replaceable. So you might be careful about hitting that button, because sometimes if you just tap it real quick, it'll power it on. And if your throttle is up, it'll start beeping at you. So I'll actually demonstrate that. So I'll turn it on. You see, it just takes a quick tap. You get a bunch of beeping noises because the throttle's not all the way down. It's warning you that the throttle's up. Bring that down, and then the beeping will go away. Then you have these solid lights here. This here is the binding button. If you want to put into binding mode, you press and hold this button for about 5 seconds, and it'll start beeping and flashing. So go ahead and do that. Flashing really fast. And then at this point, you go to your flight controller or receiver and put that into bind mode. With the included receiver, you just press the bind button and it'll start flashing and you'll be in bind mode. And then once it's bound, this will turn solid. I think if you want to get out of bind mode, you just press the button and it'll go back into non-binding mode. Back to these channels 5 and 6 here. The lights here will indicate what, I guess, if it's in the low, middle, or high position. Of course, this is all these channels are reversible as well. So you press the button here, you get a green light. Press it again. So this is the middle position. And then when both the green and the red light is on, that's the high position. And then you press it again, it goes back to the low position here when the lights are off. And the same thing happens on the other side as well. If you want to reverse any of the channels, you press and hold both 5 and 6 together for about 10 seconds, like this. The green and red lights will flash on each side. They'll turn solid, and then you're going to be in the channel reversing mode. So I'm actually not going to reverse the channels at this point. But once you're in the channel reversing mode with all the lights solid, green and red here, say if you want to reverse the aileron or the roll channel, you just bump the stick to the right or left, and that will reverse that channel. And if you want to reverse it back, you just do the same thing. And to exit, you just press and hold channels 5 and 6 again, and that'll exit out, and the lights will be off like this, and you'll not be in that reversing mode. And one last feature to note here is that there's this, I guess, screen holder thing that will pop up here. You can, it's obviously is flexible, and you can stretch this out and put a FPV monitor in here. So this is an LDARC monitor that I reviewed a while back. You can see it fits in here. This is a 4-inch screen. I think that's about the maximum that it will flip out, and then you can actually fly via your monitor if you choose to want to do that. It's kind of nice. Or you can use it as a passenger type monitor where someone could watch you fly if you're flying through goggles. That's what this would be useful for. And there's some rubber grips here that will hold the monitor in place if you want to put your monitor in there. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate what I was talking about earlier with the stick not having a large dead zone here. I've just got this BDB app here on my phone. This is basically like Betaflight for your phone, and we'll go into the radio receiver tab here. And then we'll see the channel monitor. Okay, so here's the channel monitor, and let's see if I can get both of these on the screen at the same time. This is going to be kind of tricky. Okay, so as I move the stick here, you can see that it doesn't register anything until you're quite the way over. See, they're about 25 degrees over, and that's just starting to move. I'll try going the other way here. So I'm moving the stick, still moving it. There you go. Now, yeah, about 30 degrees over, and just now starting to see a little bit of movement in the roll channel. Of course, you can go all the way over here, and you can see that it fluctuates. It goes back into fail-safe mode because I'm just too close to the receiver. So keep that in mind. If you're flying super close, like within 12 inches here, it'll go into fail-safe. So that's the thing about the stick having a large dead zone. You move the stick and it just doesn't register in the flight controller, so it'll feel like you're not doing anything when you're flying around, and you'll feel like you'll be doing a lot of overcorrecting. Anyway, so overall my conclusion on this product is pretty much what I thought it was going to be. I was kind of hoping that it would have some sort of different sort of sticks here other than the standard game style joysticks, and unfortunately it doesn't. So it is pretty much similar to a lot of the other low-end budget controllers that you see out there. Say the same for Beta FPV, for example. I think there's other off-brand ones that have these similar pot, or I guess they're game style pots or potentiometers in here. They're not real gimbals, and they have the same issue with a lot of a dead zone in the center. You can kind of make it flyable with a lot of tweaking. Basically, you need really low rates and a lot of expo. That's what you need to do if you're a beginner trying to pair this up with, say, a whoop or something like that. That's what I would recommend you do, and it would make it somewhat usable. But if you have the money, I would recommend getting like an X-Lite or a Jumper T12, something that's going to be, obviously it's going to cost you more money, but for someone that's starting out, it'll get you started, and it'll take you a little bit further along on something like this. Obviously, if you absolutely have no budget whatsoever and just want have this one model, for example, here, and you just want to get this up in the air, it is serviceable, but I really wouldn't recommend it if you're going to be doing FPV long term. So that's my stance on this guy here. I'll put links down in the description if you want to check it out. And if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.